This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello, everybody. This is Saturday Morning Mysteries, technically, yes. But it's also our very first official bonus content video, aka our very first Toon Tangent, as you will see, at least especially on YouTube, if you're looking at our playlists, that's what it's under. So welcome to this Toon Tangent discussion. Hello. By the way, I'm Alexis.
Yeah, thanks. I was so like, who's on my Zoom call right now?
Who am I looking at?
I don't recognize this person. Oh, Alexis, got it. Well, I'm Grace. Really quick before you get into the Toon Tangent thing, I just so every time before we start recording, we count in and clap because it helps line things up. And I really quick just need to tell the story of last night. We went to go see the ballet here in out where we live, and it was lovely and beautiful, but it was really both fun because at one point for one of the dances, like they like started to clap to like get the audience to do it too, and then it was progressively getting faster, and it was so fucking funny because like people just lost it, like there's a bunch of kids in the audience, like no one could keep up. Like Justin and I were just like stopped because it was so funny that like all the performers were like
and
then everyone was just like, and it also reminded me of how in high school and to this day, Bird and I, whenever we're in group settings and people are trying to keep a beat, Bird and I purposely try and fuck up the beat for everyone.
It's like, this beat doesn't even exist. This is not rhythm in any way.
So that's basically what happened last night in a nicely masked and vaccinated auditorium. But yeah, we just watched like the clapping like fall apart, and all the performers have to keep it up still and like stay serious.
And, like try to encourage people, like, no, listen to us, follow us. Damn it!
We are your visual cue. You don't even need to hear the music; just watch what we're doing. Anyways, so
that's funny. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the ballet.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
I hope that I hope it was exciting. It can be fun to watch things in live action, like the theater or the ballet. Do you see this transition?
What? Oh my God! Give this woman a raise.
Today we are going to be talking about live action revivals of some of our favorite classic cartoons. Yeah. Dude,
I'm just blown away right now.
Wheel that in.
Y'all, we didn't plan any of this, and
no. Straight off the dome.
I have nothing else to say this episode because
I probably won't either. I think I used every brain cell for that transition. I'm out now.
Yep. That was a really masterful transition. I'm so excited to talk about this today because we have a lot of opinions about. Well, I guess so maybe if someone's like not into cartoons and stuff, do you want to explain? I mean, I guess maybe the name is self-explanatory, but we don't want to assume. You want to explain just what like a live action cartoon is?
Yeah, well, I guess so. It's not a live action cartoon, but like a live action adaptation or reboot or revival. It's just essentially where you take the exact same characters from I guess it doesn't have to be your favorite cartoon, but from a cartoon or some sort of animation, and you just recreate those exact same characters and stories in live action. So obviously like no animation, probably some CGI, but not much. And it's just like actual human actors fulfilling these, or assuming, maybe not fulfilling, because I don't know if some of them are worthy. I'm not going to. Yes, exactly. But so we see this all the time, going back like with even the Archie comics. The classic famous Archie comics has now been turned into a show called Riverdale.
Did you watch that?
I do, and I'm actually going to talk about it like slightly probably in our first video, because it's connected, or in this discussion here, because it's connected to the first show we're going to talk about. Sweet. But yeah, I mean, technically, like, when you think about it, all of the Marvel movies and like DC movies and shows, those are all live action adaptations because they were either cartoons or just straight up comics at one point. So they can be super hit or miss. Now, why they keep happening, I don't know. I guess
Yes.
Some people want to see cartoons or like some of their favorite animated characters like in actual human form, even though we know that humans can't do the things that cartoons can do. So, I mean, you're already kind of reaching in a lot of these areas, but it can be fun. It can be fun to do. So sometimes it's exciting, but we'll see. We'll see with some of these shows if it is.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, just that point of like, and it keeps happening, question mark. One, I think there maybe is also a difference of note in comic book to live action, even if there is a cartoon in between. So like the Marvel ones, maybe there's you know, a little difference there as well, because, you know, live action version of that has been going on forever, of like DC and Marvel and all that stuff. But it is an interesting the like, I don't know, market research of millennials and the fact that we love nostalgia, which like, hello, our entire Saturday morning mysteries is based on the fact that we love it. But just the not even cartoon revivals, but just like the revivals of all of the shows we grew up watching that no one fucking asked for the revival of like Fuller House, Girl Meets World, like Fresh Prince, like all of this stuff. And then that again, and movies and stuff. Again, no one asked for any of these. We just wanted the access to watch the reruns. That's it.
Pretty much. I think the other thing too is, so there's a slight distinction between like revival and reboot also. So when you revive something, it's like you're bringing it back, but not from, you're bringing it back from the dead, but you're not like rebirthing it. So it's revived, it's back, so it's continuing essentially. But then if you're rebooting something, then it's almost like, all right, we're starting over. We're starting fresh. So there is also that distinction with like the Fresh Prince one. I think that's more of like a I've not watched it, but from what I've heard, it's like exactly reboot, because it's totally different story. But then you have like iCarly, which I hear is good. Have not watched it. That's a revival, I believe, because it's just continuing on now that she's like an adult.
Older.
So those like type of distinctions. Also, neither of those are live action adaptations. I just thought about those were always live action, but just those were examples to distinguish reboot versus revival.
That is helpful. Anyway, thank you for that. But the one we're talking about today is, which one would this be considered?
This
live action,
I think revival, based on what I've read, a live action adaptation / revival.
And it is of Powerpuff Girls, y'all.
Powerpuff.
Okay, where should we start?
Well, that's a good question. I think the CW is wondering the same thing.
Maybe a little bit of
we'll
history.
Start there.
What's happening.
So obviously, if you're watching the show, we assume that you're probably at least like lower mid 20s or something. You probably remember an amazing cartoon growing up called the Powerpuff Girls, which actually that itself was also revived as a cartoon several times. Apparently, I don't think I ever watched it after like 2012 or anything.
We might also do that one day as one of our shows that we cover with true crime. So keep that in mind,
because there are a lot of amazing villains and episodes to cover. So
and it has a very special place in at least my heart. Continue. This show, classic, as Grace has noted, very special place in her heart and a lot of people's hearts, especially us millennials. One of the shows that we just grew up watching every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, pretty much. And so, you know, it's owned by, it aired on Cartoon Network, which I think way before in a video I talked about is owned by Warner Media, which is owned by Warner Brothers and all this and whatnot, which also owns the CW. So again, Riverdale, home of that, however you feel about those shows. And obviously they're in the mood for a lot of live action readaptations over there. So they decided, hey, this is a show that a lot of people loved growing up. Why don't we let's throw that into a live action mix and see where it takes us. Riverdale is apparently like a great show for our station, as are some of these other live action
adaptations that they're doing. So why not try Powerpuff Girls as well?
Yeah, before you get into like the what we have learned, the fuck ups of CWs thus far and the redos, let's also keep in mind specifically that Powerpuff Girls was 3 accidentally lab made triplets. Essentially, that's where children with superpowers is, I think, an important like distinction, because at least, again, so I haven't watched Riverdale, but I grew up reading Archie comics like religiously. Like our house is probably full of them still, but at least with that, it was like taking teenagers from the comic book to teenagers in real life. Like, great, we're still teenagers in high school, but taking little children who were like, I don't know, 7 or something. I don't know how
they were in kindergarten.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 maybe. Yeah. Something like that.
So that I think is an important, just like of note as well in trying to revive such a show. Go on.
Yeah.
What have we learned about
that's
revival
that's
so
good.
far?
I'm glad that you did bring that history in. And I don't know, maybe we'll add like some videos if you're watching this on YouTube, so that we don't have to like necessarily go into deep detail of what the appearances of everyone looks like. But yeah, so there's 3 girls who were created in a lab by a professor, not an evil professor. He's also their father, Professor Utonium. And he's like a loving dad. He always takes care of things around the house. And so the revival, they were saying, hey, let's make these kids grown up. Let's not keep them as 6-year-olds, which I understand. You can't really have 6-year-olds flying through the sky, defeating villains and monsters. That makes sense. But it almost makes as little sense to age these women, because what we're finding out, right? So we had to read a bunch of articles about this reboot, because we're very invested, obviously, in the way that this show or this revival comes about. And so, according to a lot of folks who have reported on it, this show is gonna have some like disillusioned 20-something-year-old Powerpuff women, I guess we call them now, trying to understand the world that they grew up in, and kind of realizing that like their whole life was a lie to some extent. I hate it. Yeah, so CW apparently also initially, at least maybe somewhat, hated it because they ordered a pilot for the show back in February of last year, so a little over a year ago. And upon seeing it, they said, nope, do it again. And they said a big old no. It was like, swung, and you ultimately missed.
Which also, in one of the articles that I can't remember, we should give credit and stuff, but can't remember. So we'll put it in the show notes and stuff, the ones we read. But wasn't there also a script leak that
there
happened?
Was,
and so
with some cringy ass lines in it,
like,
Grace.
Which was first, chicken or the egg? Did CW already say you guys need to do a new pilot, or was the script leaked, the internet lost their fucking minds, and then the CW was like, oh yeah, LOL, redo it? So
I think it's like, the timeline is very close. Like all of those things happened like within a couple weeks of each other. I think they ordered the pilot. They didn't like it, but they weren't like publicly saying that. They were kind of hush hush, like, oh, let's go back to the drawing board. Yeah. And then shortly after that, the script leaked. And then they were like, okay, now we have to come forward and say, there was a pilot. We didn't like it. So we had to pull it back. And there was a lot of question about whether the script was actually legit, but it was actually taken down from Twitter for a copyright violation. So that is like proof beyond a reasonable doubt that shit was legit. That was a legit script. And it was cringy. It was edgy and campy. Like, how are you all those 3 things at once? Edgy, cringy, and campy.
Felt like it was trying to both so I didn't read the script, but from the articles and stuff, like, they wanted to make Powerpuff Girls, the show, like the HBO show Girls, was like the goal here, but also having it be a Cartoon Network. So basically, like, some of the stuff that we learned about the show, and sorry if this is jumping the gun, is of just like, what you mentioned of like disillusioned, that basically, we got information of of what Blossom came in or has become, and she's kind of like always been like the ringleader. She's the redhead one. And that it was basically like, you know, she's got multiple degrees and PhDs and all of that shit, which also if she's like in her mid-20s, you don't have multiple PhDs by then. So already I'm like,
I don't even have one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think she's like 25. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like
which
coming from a household.
Guess you're a superhero. She's a genius. Like she is superhero. Like that's one of her strengths, I guess, because she was always the smartest one too. But still, like, come on, if they're trying to live a realistic life.
Yeah. Just going to say from literally being a household in which a PhD is occurring. You ain't doing it by 25. Let me just say. And unless she just graduated high school early. Anyways, yeah, it was like she's disillusioned because she's like, I never wanted that life. It's very much like, it reminds me of like a child actor situation of like, they become an adult and all of a sudden realize that they're traumatized from being a childhood actor.
And that's very much like the role that Bubbles plays in particular. Apparently she's like a washed up, like social media influencer who is now like doing like direct sales or something. And she apparently like is a recovering drug addict. It's like, how could you take literally the sweetest person from that show and make her a former drug addict and then like make her like this Hollywood, like burnt out,
burnout.
It's again just the edginess that they're trying to go for. And of course Buttercup, who was already like the tough edgy character, apparently she's like, I couldn't tell, like it seemed like some of the articles were conflicting. She's either like a somewhat vigilante, like hiding her identity while fighting crime, or she's just like a firefighter. I forget which one.
Okay, well, the former would have been a cool show. Like, if it was like, hey, we're all grown up now, pretending to lead normal lives, but we're all fucking vigilante superheroes still as adults, that'd be dope. I would watch that. Like in different corners of the country, just like doing their own thing. Exactly. Or like, even, I would watch that. Or to like throw back to what our regular episodes have been about thus far with Scooby-Doo, that Freddie Prinze Jr. Scooby-Doo live action in which like the gang had broken up but all got brought back together. Like I would have watched that for Powerpuff Girls, or like, and I kind of think that is the premise of this one. Like they are broken up to start, but something is going to bring them all back to Townsville. The professor dies or some shit. No. Oh, I'm glad he does not. Oh, great. Okay, good. And because the professor is played, actually, this is one of the bright spots. So I will say, I know we're kind of shitting on this show, but I actually, like, I kind of want it to do well because there are some bright spots on this. Ooh. One of which, actually, I guess this one's a toss up, but Donald Faison plays the professor. Donald Faison from Scrubs, from Clueless. Yes. Oh, what? Yes. So also the professor is black now and bald, which, I mean, however you feel about recharacterizing certain characters, whatever. I will say, as a quick side note, I do love recharacterizing characters. Yeah, I'm like, if it works for the plot, then I'm totally If it makes sense, then I'm like, fine, go for it. Like, I don't care. But if it's just totally like, whatever. If it's like we're trying to be whatever in 2022, and so we want to make sure, like, but don't do it to check the box. Don't do it to check the box. Yeah, do it because it actually developps the plot. Yes, this can't be a diversity hire, but I just love him so much. He could be he could be playing the Powerpuff Girls, and I would be okay with it. This is one diversity hire I'm okay with. He just switches the wigs to be each of the power. It's actually only him. Just him. It's a one-man show. In like their dresses and stuff too. He like doesn't shave his legs or anything. Yeah. He also is playing like the Powerpuff Girls. He plays Mojo Jojo. He plays what's the like mayor's secretary who you never see her face. Who she's also in it, Cerebellum. Yes, he could play her and I'd be happy. So Sarah, she is also in it, played by Robin Lively. I think she's related to Blake Lively. Okay, great. I was going to assume it's like either her sister or something. I'm not going to look it up now. Distant related, I support because Blake Lively is incredible. Blake Lively's awesome. Yes. Let's see who else. I forget who else is in this, but you did mention Mojo Jojo. Another awful thing I heard is that apparently he has now been written as a human. Oh.
Which, you know, live action, I get it. It's hard to have a monkey as a villain, but Mojo Jojo is literally the main villain of that show.
Yes.
Like, I know that it's a rotating villain kind of thing with them where they're fighting someone new every episode, but he is he's like their Thanos or their like Galactus or whatever from comics. So how are you gonna just like totally change his character? It just, and look, that's the point of all of this. Like the main criticism of all of this is that Powerpuff Girls, it's a very hard show to do as a live action show unless you're really going to put a bunch of money into it, a bunch of time and effort to get it right. And you got to like be willing to have a really kooky kind of script and something that's kind of more offbeat, because just the nature of the show itself is so like out there that you're gonna have to get a little wild with it. Yeah. So and I'm a little nervous.
It kind of feels like they had an idea in mind for a TV show in which like washed up superheroes got their shit together and they were like, how can we market this to make other people want to watch it? We'll just say it's Powerpuff Girls. Exactly. Instead of saying, let's redo Powerpuff Girls, how do we make it make sense? Like, they went backwards in it and just needed a way to market it and sell it.
So true.
I think I have perhaps like maybe less faith and hope in it. Maybe because one of the things too, was, you know, in one of the articles, and maybe it's because I think you've maybe read a little more about it and followed it a little more closely, but it was like, you know, now these 20-something Powerpuff Girls are having sex with some of the villains and like that type of shit.
Oh my god.
Which also, if we're if we're following like timeline, that means these are now like 70-year-old men, right?
Yeah, you're right. I guess. Yeah, what? That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with it. And yeah, look, I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm super hopeful for it. I'm saying that there's some good casting. There's really good casting. Yeah. The writers are great too, actually, and the producers. One of the writers wrote like Jennifer's Body and Juno. So I don't know if you've seen either or both of them, but those are both, in my opinion, at least very good movies. Especially that are like, you know, showcasing strong female leads. Yeah. And then one of the producers, he's like just like one of the best ever. He did like Dawson's Creek, Greg Berlanti, Dawson's Creek. He does Riverdale too, but he also does like a lot of the shows on HBO Max and all of that. So
which I will say, for those of you listening to the podcast, there was a slight eye roll there about Riverdale. I've never watched it again, but it's done really well. Right?
Yeah. Like it's I know a lot of people have watched it. It's definitely well filmed and pretty well acted. It's just that the stories are so ridiculous. I actually, so I don't watch it religiously. I watched the first couple seasons, like pretty much all the way through. And after that, I'm like, I can't pay attention anymore. Yeah. But whenever I randomly turn it on or tune in, I'm like, holy shit, I just realized this show is it's satire.
Oh, but really?
I don't think it actually is. But like if you look at it that way, it makes the show a lot better.
Okay, great. Well, maybe we can do that with Powerpuff Girls.
Because I'm like, these actors, how are they getting through these line reads? Because it's like the most ridiculous stories ever, Grace. Like that show is so hilarious and it's not supposed to be.
What's the like great, I think it probably became a meme, like the whatever Sprouse twin is in it, like I'm
Cole.
Weird, I'm a weirdo.
I get it, I'm weird. That's only like one of the craziest lines from that show.
Like not even skimming the surface.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, that's actually one of the more like docile ones. But anyway, so yeah, that aside, so knowing too that the show, that Powerpuff is going to be on the CW, it's like, ooh, so that's not a bright spot. That's like, okay, well, that makes me nervous. But seeing that the CW even saw the pilot and was like, no, we cannot air this. That is a bright spot in my opinion, because they're actually like really, really invested in getting this one right. And they're really working on it. Apparently, the woman who's playing Bubbles, she recently said that like, she's been talking to the writers and the producers as recently as like a couple weeks ago. So over a year since that pilot was, shown to the CW or the Warner Media executives. And she said, Dove Cameron, I think her name is, she was like, yeah, like they're still working at it and we're actually really happy with where it's going.
Yeah.
And she's like really trying to assure people that the writers really want to get this right because they know how popular Powerpuff Girls is. They don't want to fuck it up. They know that if they're going to do it, they have to like out of the gate do it right.
Perfect.
Exactly. And, I feel that. So that is one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, when it comes out, I'll watch it.
Yep.
But one more little thing I'll add, and then I think I'll get off of my soapbox about the show. I think personally that it would be better suited for like HBO Max rather than a direct release on the CW. Because as I mentioned earlier, just the stories have to get so weird. Yeah. And you really have to be willing to push the envelope with some of the episodes just because of the nature of the villains and like 3 young adults having superpowers, but also you don't want it to be cheesy and campy, which if it's going to be on TV, it kind of has to be.
Yeah, but you can only balance so much drama with that.
Exactly. But then you look at like some of these amazing superhero shows on HBO Max, for example, like there's Titans and Doom Patrol, and even like Peacemaker was super fucking weird, but amazing. And then on Netflix, you have like the Umbrella Academy, which is very weird, but really, really good. So I think that if you put things on streaming services, it gives you like more freedom to get edgier and also weirder.
Yes.
And I think that would be a better fit for this show.
So
if it's on the CW, I'll still check it out maybe. But I do think that they're going to have better luck putting it on HBO Max if they want to have like a really, really good story. So I wonder if that's something that they're kind of mulling as they rework literally everything.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point, and I full force agree with that. Of like, if it's on the CW, it's going to be a drama and campy and like cheesy. But if it's on these other streaming services that have that freedom to be weird, pardon me, like yes, that's what it needs. So I guess, and to your point of like, that the execs and CW are like, oh, we fucked that up, let's redo it, which I will say is also not that uncommon in the world of like TV. Like that's what a pilot is this is a test run to see if we need to go back to the drawing board, and like all of our favorite shows have done that type of thing. Very so true. Like that's not, and then become the shows that we know and love today, and we would have maybe hated it if it had gone with the original pilot. So going back to the drawing board is a really good sign. I think my final note and thought is that, or 2 thoughts of one, this conversation has given me a little more hope that
I'm glad that I could I could lobby in favor of Powerpuff. You're welcome, CW and HBO Max. You're
Sponsor
welcome.
Us.
Yeah.
And Netflix and everyone else, Warner Brothers, and everyone else. We love you all. We won't be picky. But but then also my very actual final thought is that, and this I think is just a note of like how deeply, and maybe like why I'm going into defense mechanism mode on this show of like automatically being like, no, I don't want it kind of thing, of just like my deep love for this show. When I was a kid, I had 3 maybe, I mean, you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast, but like hand and a half sized Powerpuff Girl dolls of the 3 of them. And I would make my brother be Mojo Jojo, or for some reason I'd make him be Godzilla sometimes. And I would just attack him with the Powerpuff Girls. Yeah. And like, I would chase him. He's my older brother too. So like, God bless Grant's soul. Hi, Grant. If
and he's not small either. Although I guess
exactly.
when you were little, he was probably smaller, I'm sure.
Yeah, but still like always bigger than I am, and like, could easily probably beat me up, especially as a kid and stuff. But he would play along as I would chase him around the house, and like I have a distinct memory, I think, of like one of the Powerpuff Girls like being on like top of the TV as he like ran, and then I just like chucked it at him or something. So
take that.
Yeah, really, really
go
deeply,
Blossom, go.
Yeah, deeply love it. And I think we should end with a question, both for our audience and for us.
Yeah.
Which Powerpuff Girl would you be?
Oh, wow.
Including who did you think you were as a child, and then you grew up and you were like, wait, no, I'm this one.
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, I think as a child, I probably thought I was Buttercup, and I probably grew up to be Buttercup. It's tough. It's hard. I mean, there's only 3 of them, so it's like there's more personality styles than 3, you know.
Nope.
But
These
yeah,
3.
I mean, if I had to say one, because I was never like the starry-eyed goody 2 shoes girl like Blossom, or I mean like Bubbles. And I also wasn't like the bookish, nerdy Blossom, but I was more of the like, hey, let me go like play in the dirt and do outdoor sports and, you know, run around with my brothers. So I guess Buttercup, but I also wasn't like mean like her. So I don't know, but yeah, I guess Buttercup.
Great take. I think
when
I was a kid, I think I thought that I was Bubbles, and I think it was because, I mean, you can't really tell now again on the video because my hair as I've gotten older has gotten darker, but when I was little, I used to have super blonde hair. So anytime there was a cartoon character with blonde hair that was a kid, I was like, well, that's me. Got it. And like, that was the only requirement. And I also, would like puppy dog eye my way through things as a child. And then as I've grown up, I was like, oh, I am so cynical. I'm Buttercup.
Yeah. Right.
No, this is not even a question.
Yeah.
Like I have
maybe.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say like, I am kind of blunt, pretty cynical, don't really have time for some like bullshit or anything like that. Kind of cut to the chase. A lot of these features, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the Buttercup, but I'm proud to be the Buttercup.
I think we're both Buttercups, but maybe with the sprinkle now of Blossom too.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I think
as you said, you're not bookish.
Nerdier. Yeah,
I was like laughing at your bookshelf behind you, full of law books. I was like, you're not bookish
any of these. No, yeah, wow. That's actually, I feel like super, super pretentious now. But that's funny. It's okay. This whole shelf, these are all just comics. A lot of these are like conspiracy books and autobiographies and stuff. So it's, I'm not that bookish, y'all.
I mean, you literally just said the word autobiography.
and like pretentious. Anyway, so, but nonetheless, that's a great question. So audience, put in the comments, 1, let us know if you're excited for this.
Yes.
2, let us know if you weren't excited for this at the beginning, if we were able to change your mind and you now are waiting excited with bated breath. Yeah.
And we made you unexcited.
Exactly. However your feelings are about this revival, let us know. And then also tell us like which Powerpuff Girl, men and ladies, which Powerpuff woman or girl were you? Or just maybe which character. Yes. Maybe you were the professor, maybe you were the mayor, maybe you were Fuzzy Lumpkin, I don't know. You have the Mojo Jojo. I don't know. Just tell us your favorite character, who you identify with the most.
And we hope to have future also follow-ups as this develops. We'll have future Toon Tangents about what's going on with it, because we will be following this story for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
But until then, enjoy more Saturday morning mysteries or Toon Tangents.
And all of the above. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus Toon Tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.